Are the Buffalo Bills about to create the most dangerous offense in the NFL by adding George Pickens? Or is this move being overhyped? While some believe stacking elite offensive weapons is the key to dominating the league, others argue chemistry and balance matter more than star power alone. But here's the twist. If this move is real, it could completely transform Buffalo's passing game, elevate their quarterback's performance, and strike fear across the AFC. Stay tuned as we break down what this potential signing really means and whether it changes everything.
Being a Bills fan right now feels like you are watching something bigger quietly build behind the scenes. There is this steady, almost silent construction happening across the roster that does not always make the loudest headlines, but if you have been paying attention, you can feel it taking shape piece by piece. And at the same time, there is that familiar tension that never really leaves, the sense that something unexpected could be right around the corner.
That is what makes this moment so fascinating, because Buffalo is not just making routine moves. They are setting the stage for something that could look very different once the season actually begins. On one side, the team just came out of the 2026 draft and immediately went to work attacking undrafted free agency like a front office with a clear plan. You look at the names coming in, and at first glance, it might seem like typical camp competition. But if you zoom out, there is a pattern here. This is not random. This is targeted depth building across almost every position group, and it tells you that the Bills are serious about creating internal pressure everywhere on the roster. Take the fullback position, for example. The addition of Jackson Aker out of Wisconsin is not just another camp body. With Reggie Gilliam no longer in Buffalo, there is a real role sitting there waiting to be claimed. Anyone who watched this offense last season knows how important that position was, especially in creating space for James Cook in the run game. That kind of physical, detail-oriented role does not always show up on stat sheets, but it absolutely shows up on film. So when Aker walks into that building, he is not just fighting to make the roster. He is stepping into a competition that could directly impact how effective the run game becomes this year. Then you shift over to the wide receiver room and things get even more interesting. Buffalo did not just add one undrafted receiver and call it a day. They brought in multiple players with different profiles, and that tells you they are looking for something specific. Jamori McClain brings pass production to the table, including a 1,000-yard season that shows he can handle volume. Max Tomag, coming out of Youngstown State, has been consistent and productive over the last 2 years, putting up numbers that demand at least a serious look in camp. These are not guaranteed roster guys, but they are exactly the kind of players who can show up in preseason, make plays, and force coaches to make difficult decisions. At running back, Desmond Reed adds another layer to an already solid group. Nearly 3,000 career rushing yards is not something you ignore, and while James Cook is still the lead option, bringing in competition like Reed ensures that nothing is handed out. Even the invitation to Will Nixon signals that Buffalo is leaving no stone unturned when it comes to evaluating depth at that position. Competition creates urgency, and urgency sharpens performance. But where this entire approach really stands out is in the trenches. The Bills are clearly committed to building depth along the offensive line, and they are doing it with a mix of experience, potential, and even legacy. Bruno Fina, the son of former Bills first-round pick John Fina, brings not just versatility, but a connection to the organization's history. Demetrius Weatherspoon and Trevor Brock add more bodies to that room, and that is critical because offensive line depth can make or break a season. Injuries happen, performance fluctuates. The teams that survive are the ones that have options. Even on special teams, the attention to detail shows up. Mark Langston, a long snapper coming off a national championship at Indiana, is being brought in to compete. Reed Ferguson is still the established name, but the fact that Buffalo is willing to create competition even at a specialized position like that tells you everything about how this roster is being constructed. No spot is being taken for granted.
Defensively, the same theme continues. Cade Denhoff from Clemson is an intriguing addition, especially considering the talent he played alongside. Theron Gaines adds more depth to the defensive line, while Prince Dorba brings proven pass-rushing production into the mix. At linebacker, Jaden Flaker steps into a group that still needs depth, particularly in a scheme that demands versatility and awareness.
In the secondary, Connie Walker is coming off a strong season and will have a chance to prove he belongs at this level. Even the addition of Jake Overman at tight end shows that Buffalo is thinking about every layer of the roster, not just the headline positions. When you take all of this together, it becomes clear that Buffalo is not just filling out a roster. They are building a competitive environment where every player at the bottom has to earn their spot, and every player above them feels that pressure. That is how you uncover hidden contributors, the kind of players who step up in November and December when depth is tested the most.
But while all of this is happening quietly in the background, there is another storyline that has the potential to completely reshape the offense, and it is the kind of situation that forces you to think about the bigger picture. The name that has been floating around is George Pickens, and the implications of a move like that go far beyond just adding another receiver.
Pickens has already proven he can produce at a high level. A season with over 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns shows exactly what kind of impact he can have. Pairing that level of explosiveness with Josh Allen would instantly change how defenses approach this offense. You would be looking at a receiving group that includes DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, and potentially Pickens, which would give Buffalo a combination of precision, reliability, and deep threat ability that is difficult to match. But moves like that are never simple. There is always another side, and in this case, that side involves Keon Coleman. Earlier in the offseason, there were legitimate questions about how the organization viewed him and what his role might look like moving forward. At one point, it felt like his name could be involved in trade discussions, but then the tone shifted. The front office made it clear they believe in his potential, and there is a sense that they are expecting a significant step forward this season. That creates an interesting dynamic because the wide receiver room is already becoming more competitive. Skylar Bell has been mentioned as someone who could push for playing time, and within Buffalo Bills, the expectation is that no role will be handed out without a fight. In Joe Brady's system, execution matters. Consistency matters, and players who cannot deliver will find themselves losing snaps. The situation with Pickens also took a turn when he signed a franchise tag with the Dallas Cowboys, a move that suggests the door might be closed for now. But in the NFL, situations like this can change quickly. Contracts, negotiations, and team direction all play a role, and what looks settled today can shift tomorrow. The fact that Buffalo was even connected to that conversation tells you that they are actively exploring ways to elevate the offense, not just maintain it. And that is where everything connects. The quiet depth building, the aggressive approach to competition, and the willingness to at least consider a major move all point in the same direction. This is a team that is not content with where it is. They are trying to strengthen the foundation while also looking for ways to raise the ceiling. For fans, that creates a mix of emotions. There's excitement because you can see the potential. You can see how these pieces might come together into something special. But there is also tension because there are still unanswered questions. Who steps up in camp? Which of these undrafted players turns into a real contributor? Does the wide receiver room settle as expected, or does something unexpected happen? Those answers are coming, and they are going to shape what this team looks like when the season begins. Right now, it feels like Buffalo is right on the edge of something. Not loud, not flashy, but deliberate and calculated. And if it all comes together the way they seem to be planning, this could be one of those seasons where everything clicks at the right time. So the real question is not just about one move or one player. It is about whether this entire approach, building from the bottom while still searching for a game-changing addition at the top, is the formula that finally pushes this team where it wants to go. Because if it is, then what is happening right now is only the beginning of something much bigger.